Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I'm here today to talk to you about the 2020 census, which will be here in about a month. You will start receiving your information in the mail beginning March 12th. So I'll begin at the beginning. My name is Yvette Rose. I'm a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau. I am a longtime Connecticut resident. I live here in Fairfield County, about 15 minutes away, and I'm a part of a team that works here in Connecticut to share information about the census and to answer any questions that you might have, so that when it does appear in your mailboxes, you are prepared to respond and you understand the importance of responding. So a little bit of background about the Census Bureau. We are best known for the decennial, but we conduct over 130 other programs and surveys. Some of these you may have heard of or you might even have participated in. One of the largest ones we do is the American Community Survey. This gives us a very detailed snapshot of our country, and it is a sampling of the population, but generates 11 billion or so data points. So it is a comprehensive look at details such as whether or not you own or rent your home, and whether you've served in the military, educational levels attained, just a whole host of demographic information that is a rich supply for our governments, for nonprofits, and for the community. Another important one that you may have participated in, is the Current Population Survey. This is a monthly survey that we do in conjunction with the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and this gives us the unemployment rate that we see first Friday of every month. So these surveys are all ongoing, and they are samplings of the population as opposed to the decennial, which does go to every household. So because we have so many ongoing surveys, we are aware of the potential for fraud, and we have a website and a phone number for people to call or to check into if they suspect that they've received something that is not a legitimate census questionnaire. So never hesitate to check either online or by calling into our toll-free number, and also asking for proper identification if someone who is representing the Census Bureau is in fact a legitimate census worker. So this is a video which we will come back to if we have time and there's interest. It explains very much what I'm explaining about the importance of the census and really the history of it. The census has been ongoing since 1790. Thomas Jefferson was the first director of the census, and it is mandated by the Constitution, Article 1, Section 2. The implications are enormous because the decennial census does determine our representation in Congress and also determines funding. So our message is that the census is safe, it's easy, and it's important. In terms of the importance, as we said, it determines the number of representatives we have in the U.S. House of Representatives, but it also determines other legislative boundaries. State legislative boundaries also determines voting precincts, school districts, transportation routes, and more. Also, very importantly, this decennial determines the allocation of over $675 billion in federal funding that comes to the states from the federal government. So we pay our taxes to the federal government, and the government returns a portion of that to the states to support schools and roads and transportation systems and highways, FEMA funding, very critical infrastructure that we desperately need in our state. Also, this federal funding supports programs such as Title I schools and Head Start and SNAP and free and reduced school lunches, Medicaid and Medicare, and the list goes on and on. So the funding needs of every state, not just Connecticut, continue to grow. So we do depend on these federal dollars to help close the gap and to continue supporting all of our needs. So in order to make sure that Connecticut, that our community, that Darien is getting its fair share of federal funding for vital programs, we need to make sure that we have a complete and accurate count. Every resident matters. Also, the census information provides valuable insights for governments, for businesses. Businesses use census data to determine where to locate a new business, what are the demographics of their potential customers, what kind of items should I be stocking in my store if I'm going to open a store. So the census data is used and cited on a daily basis. So it's very important that we have a complete and accurate picture of our communities. So in terms of safety, we know that there is concern on the part of just about everybody, concern about sharing personal information. And we want to make sure the public understands that we are prohibited from sharing any personal identifying information with any group, any state, local, any federal authority, no agency, no court can subpoena the information. We cannot share your personal identifying information with anybody. Title 13 of the U.S. Code is federal law, and it prohibits us from sharing your information. Once collected, it is safe. We cannot share it with anybody. As a census worker, I had to take an oath for life, not just during the tenure of my census employment, but an oath for life to protect personal identifying information that I have seen. If I violate that oath, I could go to jail for 5 years or be fined $250,000 or both. So data protection and data security is really at the heart of what we do. It is the foundation upon which everything else that we do is built. We protect data with a very secure network. We have firewalls. Your information is encrypted as soon as it's collected, does not remain online. It's monitored 24/7, and very few people have access to it. So we have set the highest standards for cybersecurity, and we continue to monitor and upgrade our systems to make sure that they continue to meet the highest standards. So again, our message is that it's safe, it's easy, and it's important. In terms of the ease, for the first time, you'll have 4 different options to respond. You can respond online. You can respond on the phone. You can also use the traditional paper questionnaire. And if you don't respond in those 3 ways, you can respond in person to a census taker who will come and visit you at your home. The questions are basic. This is one of the shortest questionnaires on record. Keep in mind that we are not asking for any financial information. We don't want your driver's license. We don't want your social security number. No banking information whatsoever. And we also are not emailing you the 2020 questionnaire. So even though the public has the option of responding online, that is an option that you initiate. We don't have your email addresses. So if you receive an email that says, click here to be counted, or some version of that, That is not the 2020 census. Just be aware, we do not have your email addresses. The information you receive from the Census Bureau will be mailed to your home. So we know that our communities are increasingly diverse, and so we have a very strong language support system that will enable people to respond in 12 non-English languages in addition to English. So these non-English languages are predicted to cover 99% of the population. Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, Russian, Arabic, Tagalog, Polish, French, Haitian Creole, Portuguese, and Japanese. We also will have language glossaries and guides in 59 other non-English languages. The paper questionnaire is in Spanish and English, and we are also hiring non-English speakers at the local level so that if there is a tract where Russian is spoken, we do our very best to hire a Russian-speaking census taker to work in those tracts in order to interview individuals in a language that they're most comfortable responding in. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for people to respond. And again, we have these different language glossaries and guides and the other language response options in order to make it as easy as possible. So let me go back. There we go. These are the dates to keep in mind, and these dates are on a flyer that's in the front of the room if you don't want to jot these down. So beginning March 12th, households will start to receive information from the Census Bureau instructing them how to respond. So not everybody is going to receive something on March 12th. It's starting March 12th through the 20th. We are staggering the mailings so that our post offices are not overwhelmed and so that our response centers aren't all overwhelmed on March 12th. You will get a reminder about a week later, and then if you still haven't responded in that time frame, you will get a reminder postcard. With that fourth mailing, you will automatically get a paper questionnaire. So if that's the method you prefer to respond in, you can wait for that paper questionnaire to come in the mail with that fourth mailing. If you still haven't responded, we will start sending census takers to knock on your door in the beginning of May. And we encourage everybody to respond before that. The individuals that we're hiring are all background checked and fingerprinted. They're members of your community, but it is most efficient and the best use of your tax dollars if you respond on your own. So going back to the different languages, if you respond online and wish to respond in a different language, there will be a menu that you can click on to respond in a different language. For the phone response option, there will be a different toll-free number to call depending on the language that you select. No, you're not able to print it out. Yeah, you would have to wait for that paper questionnaire to come on the fourth mailing. This is also a video. It's a 6-minute video that shows how to respond online. If there's interest, we can watch it. If not, we can come back to it. I leave it up to the audience to decide if there's interest in seeing it. Otherwise, it is on our website, and you can find it online. Yes, I had said before that a sample of the questionnaire is available on our website. So if you go to 2020census.gov and just do a search in the search bar for sample questionnaire, you can see exactly what the questions will be and what it will look like. Well, the questions aren't going to change. So, again, if you go to to our website, then you'll know. Well, this is here. Let's see if I can play this, and this tells how to. Hopefully, you can hear this.
Online questionnaire is available in English and 12 non-English languages. To select a language, click on the globe icon and select the name of the language, or select the name of the language at the bottom of any screen. This video will show a step-by-step demonstration. Keep watching. You will need to complete the 21 session. If you leave, you will have to start over. To begin, choose Start Questionnaire. First, enter your 12-digit Census ID. If you do not have a Census ID, select the link below the Login button and answer some additional questions about your address. You will still be able to respond. Then, confirm that you are completing the 2020 Census Questionnaire for the address shown. Select Yes or No. If you will be staying at this address on April 1st, choose Yes. Otherwise, choose No. The next button takes you forward, and the previous button takes you back. Do not use the forward or back buttons on your browser, or else you may need to start over. Next, enter your name and telephone number. Enter your full name. Sometimes a message may appear on the screen that asks you to check your response or enter additional information. Review what you entered before selecting the next button. Enter the number of people, including yourself, who will be living or staying at this address on April 1st, 2020. Click on the underlined blue links for help with the questions. Make sure that you count people where they usually live and sleep. If someone does not have a usual residence, count them where they will be staying on April 1st. Include babies and children of all ages, close or extended family members, people who are not related to you, and people staying here without a permanent place to live. Do not include anyone who lives away from this address most of the year, such as college students, armed forces personnel, people in a nursing home, mental hospital, jail, prison, detention center, etc., or people visiting who usually live and sleep somewhere else. These people will be counted in other ways. Then, list the name of each person living or staying at this address. To add more people, select the button labeled Add Another Person. We do not want to miss any people staying at this address on April 1st. If you forgot to include anyone who stays here, choose Yes and enter those names. Otherwise, choose No. Now you're ready for the next two questions about the home at this address. On April 1st, will the house, apartment, or mobile home at this address be owned by you or someone in this household with a mortgage or loan, including home equity loans, owned by you or someone in this household free and clear without a mortgage or loan, rented, or occupied without payment of rent? Then, select the names of the owners or renters of this house, apartment, or mobile home. Next, we ask some questions about each person you listed earlier. First, we ask if the person is male or female. We also ask you to enter the month, day, and year this person was born. Make sure that the age that appears is correct as of April 1st, 2020. Next, we ask about Hispanic origin and race. Please answer both this and the next question. Select whether this person is not of Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin, Mexican, Mexican-American, or Chicano, Puerto Rican, Cuban, or another Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin. If you selected the last response, enter more details in the box below. Next, we ask about race. Select one or more checkboxes: white, black or African American, American Indian or Alaska Native, Chinese, Filipino, Asian Indian, Vietnamese, Korean, Japanese, other Asian, Native Hawaiian, Samoan, Chamorro, other Pacific Islander, or some other race. Enter detailed origins in the boxes that look like this. Additional people will also see this question. How is this person related to the reference person? Select opposite sex husband, wife, or spouse, opposite sex unmarried partner, same sex husband, wife, or spouse, same sex unmarried partner, biological son or daughter, adopted son or daughter, stepson or stepdaughter, brother or sister, father or mother, grandchild, parent-in-law, son-in-law or daughter-in-law, other relative, roommate or housemate, foster child, or other non-relative. We're almost finished. Some people live or stay in more than one place, and we need to make sure everyone is only counted once. Select the name of anyone who usually lives or stays somewhere else. Otherwise, choose none of the above. If a person does usually live or stay somewhere else, select the reason why from the following: to be with a parent, grandparent, or other person, to attend college, for a military assignment, to be closer to a job or business, in a nursing home or group home, in a jail or prison, at a seasonal or second residence, or for another reason. Great job. You are now ready to send your responses. Select Submit Questionnaire to complete the 2020 census. You will see a confirmation page with your address and today's date. That's it. You have completed the 2020 census online. Thank you. You may now close the web browser.
So hopefully that answered some of your questions. So there are a couple of ways that you can help with this enormous process. By the way, this is considered the large-time, peacetime mobilization of of personnel that our country sees. It takes about 500,000 people to get this job done. And you can help with this by sharing this information with your friends, your family, your neighbors. If you belong to clubs or other organizations, please share this information. You can also help by letting people know that the Census Bureau is still hiring. Connecticut needs to recruit 28,000 applicants for jobs as census takers. We are not hiring 28,000, but we need that number of applicants in order to get to the right number of qualified individuals. So the only way to apply for these jobs, and these census taker jobs, by the way, pay $25 an hour here in Fairfield County, and they're flexible. You can work evenings, weekends, whenever you're available. They are temporary positions, but they are high-paying and a good opportunity for people who want to be busier, or for teachers, college students, anybody who's looking for extra income. And the only way to apply is online, and I do have a flyer with that information if anyone's interested, or if you know someone who might be interested. So this, as I said, is our recruiting goal for Connecticut. We still do have some positions in our field offices. We have 3 field offices here in Connecticut. One of them is in Danbury, and one is in New Haven, and one is in Hartford. So the other positions we're hiring for, clerks and IT specialists and recruiting assistants, those are not as flexible. Those require more in terms of a time commitment, but they pay at least $25 an hour and more. So these are some milestones for the 2020 census. We have been working on this for years. In fact, our geographers have been working on this almost since the last decennial. But more recently, we released a website called Statistics in Schools, which is a set of classroom-ready plans for teachers to use in our schools. They are age-appropriate from pre-K through 12th grade, and we even have some modules for English language learners. So this is very exciting for us. The Teachers and other education professionals who have seen the site are very impressed, and if you're curious, I would encourage you to go to our website and take a look. This month, well, last month, January, we started our advertising campaign. I haven't seen any of the ads, but I've met many people who have seen some of our ads on television or heard PSAs on the radio. We're doing traditional media, newspapers and magazines, posters, flyers, that sort of thing, but we're also doing new media. So, of course, we are on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. The video we saw is on our YouTube channel. In March, we are starting what is called group quarters. This is where we count people who are living together. Some of the examples were cited in the video we just saw. Colleges and universities, nursing homes, our prisons, our military bases, our homeless shelters. These are all considered group quarters. Very complex, so we started early to make sure that we are counting every facility. Mid-March is when the public can start responding. April 1st is officially Census Day, but this is a reference date. As you may recall from the video, it does ask, where a person was on April 1st. So that is the purpose of that April 1st reference day. It's also a day where you will see lots of community activities, lots of census awareness, and a lot more publicity surrounding the census and the importance for people to respond. May is when the census takers will start going door to door, and we are required by law to complete this process by December 31st, 2020, and deliver the results to the President and to the states by March 31st, 2021. Yes, well, they would have a badge. Mine right now is in my computer, so I could have access. But my badge has a chip in it, and it will identify the person as a census worker. They will also have an iPad type instrument with them. We are not, census takers will not be taking down information on paper. They will enter it into an iPad-like device. So they will carry the iPad, they will carry a bag that's an official census bag, and they will have ID. It should have their picture on it, yes. Well, as I said before, we are aware of the potential for fraud, and this is why a legitimate census worker will not ask to come into your home, and there have been people who have invited census workers into their home, but a census worker will not say, I need to come into your home to sit down or whatever. And again, they will give you a phone number to verify. A legitimate census worker will not hesitate to have you check on their identity. You should be able to do it starting after that March 12th through the 20th. Our phone lines should be operational as soon as the whole system goes live. Yes, it will have instructions. The letter will have instructions on how to respond through the various, either online or by phone. Well, it depends on the timing. Yeah, it does depend. If you respond right away, then chances are that your responses will be logged as completed, and you should not have somebody coming to your door. However, if there is some kind of a lag time, or if you respond, closer to that end of April time frame, there is still a chance someone could come to your door. But we're hoping to keep our response records up to date. We will have, and this is something new this year, we will have a live map showing response rates by census tract. So we'll be able to tell if there is a census tract that needs more motivation, needs more encouragement. So that tells me that we are we will be keeping track of responses as they come in. There still could be a little bit of a lag time, but we do ask for a phone. We do ask for a phone number in the event that there is something. Say you're completing the paper questionnaire and there's an illegible answer, but you will get a phone call as a follow-up, not an initial phone call asking you every question. Well, yes, starting March 12th is when people will receive their information in the mail, and then you will have over a month to respond on your own before somebody will come to your door. So, the best thing to do is to respond right away when you get that information during that second week in March. Yes, no, it's true, but it's unfortunate. Police have been notified that the census is coming and that census workers will be out in neighborhoods. So hopefully there will be increased monitoring and more of a police presence in our communities, both to be just aware of possible impersonators and people tampering with the mail. Unfortunately. So we just have a little bit more information. We at the Census Bureau have encouraged communities to form committees called complete count committees, which are groups of volunteers that help to motivate local response. I've been working with not only the Darien Library, but with the Senior Center and a few other places to share information about the census. There isn't a formal committee, but and my colleagues and I have been meeting with representatives to try to get the word out here in Darien. You're welcome. So, as I said, we have over 130 other surveys, and so we have a treasure trove of information on our website. We have flyers like the ones that are here, but we have a lot more information on our website. If you go to 2020census.gov, there are posters and flyers and toolkits and PSA toolkits, just all kinds of information. And again, that's where you can find that sample questionnaire, 2020census.gov. So this is a mapping tool that we have on our website that helps us to know where our challenges are going to be. This is a map of Connecticut, and those dark blue spots are areas where we know the response rates are going to be lower than the national average. There are large cities, Norwalk and Bridgeport and Stamford and Danbury, Hartford, New Haven. However, this is, and it's a little bit, you can see it better there than I can on my computer. This is a map of a tract in Darien that shows predicted response rates. We generate a metric called the low response score, and this is a score percentage of the population in a tract where we believe people will not respond on their own. So that score for this tract in Darien is 17.4%, which means that 17.4% of the population, based on the demographics we have and on 2010 response rates, will not respond on their own. That is better than the national average. The national average, based on the last census, was 20.7%. Those dark blue areas that we saw on that first map, where we saw Bridgeport and Norwalk and Stamford, those low response scores are in the 30% and higher range. There are tracts in Bridgeport that have in excess of 45%, which means 45% of the population, we predict, will not respond on their own. So we use this map as a tool to let us know where we need to engage community partners, where we need census ambassadors. And this is what we do in our partnership program. We reach out to community partners and elected officials and places like libraries in order to share information about the census, to give people the opportunity to ask questions, and to encourage response. So again, this tract in Darien, 17.4% low response score is still better than the national average, but it's still a number that we don't want to take for granted. We want to make sure that everybody in Darien is counted. And again, this doesn't mean that we're not counting them. It just means we need to motivate that tract a little bit more and share information with residents in that tract in order to make sure that they have the right information and that they're going to respond. I highlighted some of the demographics that help us to formulate a low response score. And one of the figures that sticks out is the renter-occupied housing units. Tenants tend to be harder to count than homeowners. And it's probably for the simple reason that when they get a piece of mail, they think that it is for the landlord, and they just throw it out. Or it could be because they're a more mobile population in many cases, and maybe they're in the process of a move. So tenants tend to be considered a harder to count population. Children under 5 are considered a hard to count population. The last decennial missed over 1 million children under 5. So we want to make sure that all children are counted. People might not think that their infants matter when it comes to the count, but it matters a lot. 5 years down the road, when that child needs to register for kindergarten and the resources, the teachers, the classrooms aren't there. So again, we need to make sure that everyone in every household is counted so that Darien gets the resources and the funding that corresponds to the population. So we have a ton of information on our website, and we have webinars and data dissemination specialists so that if you're looking for something specific, you can email one of our data specialists and they can help you find the information you need. The information we have on our website is fascinating, and it's free. It's available to the public. Your tax dollars have paid for it, so I encourage you to take a look. It is fascinating. And this is another video that you might be seeing on television, and this one's shorter.
Can one in a small town, an architect in a major city, and a suburban high school coach shape the future of the United States? Yes, they can. Because every 10 years, the census gives us that power. You can shape your future by responding to the 2020 census. Where do we need new roads to make our lives easier? Where will new school programs help our children? Where could a new health clinic benefit neighborhoods? The 2020 census will inform shape how dollars will be distributed to communities like yours each year. And in 2020, you can respond to the census online, by phone, or by mail. It's easy, safe, and important. Make sure you and everyone you know is counted. Now is the time for you to get involved. York needs you. Together, we can educate and excite. inspire, and make sure every voice is heard. Together, we can shape our future.
So I thank you all for coming, and I hope you share this message with friends and family and neighbors, and really emphasize the point that if we get this count wrong, we wait 10 more years to get it right. It's a long time to go with a number that is not accurate. Billions of dollars at stake for Connecticut over the course of 10 years. So thank you very much.